Hello, everybody. I am Elizabeth Frisk with Beauty Queens Galore, and I am here today with a very special interview with our Mrs. Serbia World, Nevena Tomic, who is going to be soon competing for Mrs. World, if I'm not mistaken. She is a entrepreneur, a pageant queen, a wife, a mother. She really does it all. I'm very excited to speak with you today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, I'm so excited. I can't wait. I've been all morning, I've been preparing and getting ready. And what a great Friday. Even though it's Friday the 13th, I am still super excited to chat with you. And I've been watching everything you do on social. So thank you so much.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure. And really, I would love to get to know a little bit more about you. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about yourself outside of the crown?
Absolutely. I've always worked in fashion and beauty. It's been such a passion of mine. So, of course, as a young girl, always watching pageants and runway shows and photo shoots. Definitely did a lot within the fashion industry, makeup artist, and really just leaning in as much as I could. But recently I've really been owning up being a mom and a wife and really all the amazing things that come with that. I do run a business, which keeps me very busy. But I got to tell you, my heart definitely is in just making sure that I continue to be the best person I can. And a lot of times that's with my two beautiful boys by my side.
That's amazing, and I love that they have like such a strong figure of a mother to really show off just everything that they can do. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you got into the makeup industry and how you really promote yourself as an individual, as a pageant title holder?
Yes. Well, all throughout my life, I've always tried to be a yes man, a yes woman, and really just take on as many opportunities as I could. And to be honest with you, I always looked to women as mentors and inspiration. And so I always was watching pageants and learning about beauty and doing, fashion shows and doing my own makeup and really just looking to women to be an inspiration. And so throughout my career, I've worked in different corporations, leaning into fashion and beauty, from being a buyer of color cosmetics for a major retailer to working behind the scenes at modeling agencies as a booker, booking models and giving them the opportunity to shine. So it's really been an interesting road and an interesting journey. But I really believe that staying true to your passion is key. So I am a big advocate of all things beauty, fashion, and making sure that women have their platform to be able to be the best that they can be.
That's fantastic. And could you tell us how you got started in pageantry? What has your journey looked like?
Yes. Well, I did do a few pageants back when I was a miss. And it's funny when I reflect back on that experience, it was so great because I met so many wonderful women and made friends with a lot of them that I still keep in touch with today. But I have to be really honest with you. Back then, I wasn't as confident and I wasn't a missus. And I think there's something really special about this current time where I've really come into my own as being a strong woman that's confident. And so when I think about my journey through pageantry, the beginning was all about getting my feet wet and learning about what it was. And really kind of stepping outside of the norms of what I thought pageantry was. And in the recent years, through owning my own business and being a mission based organization by giving back, what I've realized is that there's this strong affinity between pageantry and what women do every single day. So my journey has been interesting. I would say a little bit in the beginning, and took a break to really learn about myself and really fall into my own. And now I'm really leaning forward with my title as Mrs. Serbia and super excited about Mrs. World.
Can you tell us why Mrs. World out of all the Mrs. pageant systems that you could enter?
Yes. Well, I think for me, to be honest, I've been learning about all the systems and they're all so different. I judged a pageant recently, which was really great. It's funny, I feel like they all give a different vibe. They're all kind of promoting a very different brand in terms of how they put women at the forefront. I think the Mrs. America system, the Mrs. World system for me is very traditional. And if you think about my country, coming from Serbia, being born in Serbia, we're a very traditional country as well. And I love the fact that we're leaning into married women and really, if you look at what they did at Mrs. America, where they brought the husbands on stage, I really thought that was a great spin because my husband is such an important part of my journey and my children. And I think I really gravitated towards the traditional element in the way that the Mrs. World system is really crafting their narrative on who they are and the awareness that they're bringing to the world through the contestants and the title holders.
That's amazing. And just like you mentioned before, I love whenever systems, they are all unique, but of course, yeah, that extra special touch, like involving your husbands on stage when you have a Mrs. title. So that's very beautiful. Um, can you tell us a little bit more about your platform and how it's really been helping you to prepare as a title holder for Mrs. World?
Yes. Well, here's an interesting fact. A lot of women and men don't know that when you apply cosmetics to your skin, it penetrates your bloodstream within 25 seconds. And when I heard that for the first time over 10 years ago, I was shook. I stopped in my tracks and thought, we need to do something about this. And so for me, my platform, I've been doing it for over 10 years where I've been really kind of promoting clean beauty and really educating women, men, and everyone about the harmful chemicals in makeup and really what it means to be beautiful. So my platform is really about getting out into the world and ensuring that we are empowering our youth, our women, our children about what is the definition of beauty and the fact that it has very little to do with the outside and so much more about who you are, what you're doing, what you stand for, your heart, and all the different elements that we bring to the world. So for the last 10 years, I have really been able to build a mission based organization where we give back to the communities. And we're really just trying to get out there and make sure that people understand how this platform can really impact your mental health, right? You know, if you don't feel beautiful, then there's all these other implications. And I think in this world today, we need to really be careful in the ways that we are putting things in front of our children, especially women, young female, young girls, to make sure that we are empowering our future leaders of America and any country out there.
That's incredible. And also interesting and scary. Now that I think about it, I did kind of put on a couple layers of makeup for today. So tell us a little bit more about really what chemicals could be harmful towards us and how or what long-term health effects it might have.
Yes. Well, you know, glues, plastics, formaldehyde, which is used during the embalming process when someone passes away to preserve the body. A lot of brands put that in their products so that the product can live on shelf. It's quite scary. And I think, this goes beyond beauty. So this can really translate to so many different categories. Sun care, hair care, the things we drink, the things we eat. It really can go beyond. And I think it's more just about the fact that today's society is becoming so much more intelligent about what we're doing to our bodies, gluten-free, vegan-free, dairy-free, right? There's all these claims. And it's really beautiful to see everyone come together and really try to protect, right, against these illnesses that are on the uprise and all these interesting facts and statistics. So I think that that's kind of a little recap of the things we're getting out and trying to educate with the system through Mrs. World.
That's amazing. And you're an entrepreneur. Can you tell us a little bit more about your personal business and Clean Beauty?
Yeah, well, I think being an entrepreneur is a fun journey in itself. I mean, it's got its ups and downs, but I think it's a really beautiful way for someone to push themselves. And I am a big advocate of people having different jobs, day jobs and part-time jobs, and then maybe having your own business. I think it's a really cool thing to do. For me, being an entrepreneur has really allowed me to get to know myself, to be honest, like the true characteristics of my personality in terms of what do I need to work on? What am I good at? And furthermore, I really like having this company as my little baby. Similar to my title, the way I feel about being Mrs. Serbia is the same way I feel about my company. It's, we're all so dynamic. We have so many different facets to us. And I just think it's really beautiful when, I see young entrepreneurs and of all ages leaning into finding a white space in a market and going after it, and then seeing their successes and dreams come to life. So I think that's the journey of an entrepreneur.
That's incredible. And now that I think about it, I feel like it is so rare that I see Serbia highlighted in the world, let alone in pageantry, of course. When was the last time that Serbia won Mrs. World?
Well, whenever I watched pageants, I always had my eyes out for Serbia because I'm from there. I was born there. So I was always looking on stage, where is Serbia? And I always was looking for women who came from, Eastern Europe. So any other surrounding countries, and of course, former Yugoslavia, which is where we came from before we became our own independent country. And I felt, to be honest, I always felt like Serbia was a little bit underrepresented just in terms of the amount of candidates and contestants. And so I think it's really been beautiful that Mrs. World is giving me this opportunity. And when I look back at the historicals, we typically haven't seen Serbia holding the title of Mrs. World. So I'm really excited that this country gets the opportunity to walk the stage. And I'm on a mission to get as many Serbian girls out there to learn about pageantry and to promote the system and to be able to one day see this legacy continue through other women and other females. So I really, after I'm done competing, I really hope to be a part of the next journey of the next Mrs. Serbia and fly out and be there and just be a good support system to the ones who come after me. So I'm super excited to be able to see Serbia shine this year.
Yeah, me too. And of course, I love seeing representations from, of course, underrepresented
Yeah.
in countries. It's really beautiful to see that pride coming from an individual and see the culture that comes from it as well.
Yes, and we've been getting so much support. I was blown away by how many people have reached out from my community and have just been really supportive. It's been, I mean, I get emotional when I see the messages because I didn't know how it would be absorbed by our community. I wasn't sure. And I was really just blessed to see how many people are getting behind and supporting and who all the people coming to Mrs. World. And more importantly, all the other girls who have reached out to me who said, next year, I want to do this. Like, you're making it look so fun. I want to do the same thing. And so, yeah, it's been really beautiful. And, we're a couple months away from the pageant. So I'm really just trying to enjoy the last couple of months I have as the title holder.
So, what can we expect when it comes to Mrs. World? Where is it hosted? What are the areas of competition? What are the requirements to enter?
Yes, well, it will be hosted in January, mid-January, the 14th through the 21st. And the 21st will be when we go live on stage and the new Mrs. World will be crowned. So I hope everybody streams in or gets your tickets to watch. And so if you think about that week, we are at the Westgate in Las Vegas. Which is a really beautiful hotel. We get to go to the Elvis suite and put on really cool dresses, take photos, and just have a night out. But that week is going to be intense. We will be in rehearsals. We will be walking in our high heels. We will be interviewing and getting to know the judges and putting our hearts out on the table for everyone to get to know us. But we also will be building a sisterhood. So we room together. We get to know each other. We attend shoots and do fun activities. So it's going to be a busy week. And I'm really looking forward for the moment when I get to see my boys land in Vegas and I can just give them a hug after a full week of competing. And this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm just so excited.
I agree, and I can't imagine how exciting it's going to be too to have your family come in, your own boys to come in, and just have that extra support during finals.
Yeah.
You'll be able to tune in and watch. Do you know where they'll be hosting the live stream through?
I believe it'll be through the Mrs. World Instagram and also on their Facebook and also on the Mrs. World website as well. And I will definitely post the link for everybody. And I want to do something fun. I was even thinking about like raffling out some tickets for people to fly out and giving people an opportunity to actually be there live. So I think that would be a really cool experience as well. It'll be an entertaining night. Full of really fun festivities, and the judges we will have some really cool judges as well, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And if you do a raffle, I'm going to be on that right away because that sounds so exciting to be part of.
Yes, would love that. Absolutely. I mean, I think the more the merrier. And I love what you said. You know, when we're on stage, we want to look out into the crowd and see just smiling faces because that's what gives us the battery to keep going. It's the refillment of our batteries to just keep going when the nerves are hitting and when we're under those bright lights and we've got really high heels and long dresses on. It's we're going to look to all of you to kind of help give us the energy that we need to rock that runway and bring home our next Mrs. World.
I cannot wait. Now, I would love your opinion. Do you think that there is ever a right time to start in pageantry?
I don't because I started after I got married and had kids. That's when I really leaned into it. The pageant that I did back in the day was more about getting to know what pageantry was. And so I think it's really beautiful when people do it when they believe the time is right for them. When you have gotten to know yourself, when you feel confident in your journey, and when you've really leaned into what is in your heart, I think that's the right time. But if you think about the women who typically historically have done very well, they are trained athletes. I mean, the
Yeah,
ones who have been doing this for a really long time, I just think it's really great that they've really dedicated so much time and effort. So I don't think there's a right answer. I think it just kind of depends on each person's mission and what works for them. Life is such an interesting journey. We have ups and downs. And I think you just have to really be intentional about when you decide to do it and make sure you find that right time when it's your time.
absolutely. And everyone's journey is so personal, so different, so unique, which is why I love hosting these lives because we get to highlight everyone's individual story. So I agree with that. There never really is a right time. It's just your time.
Yeah, absolutely. All ages, all different aspects of life, whether you're a miss, a missus. And I think it's really beautiful when people decide to come into pageantry because they learn a lot about themselves. The person you are when you first take your steps as whatever title you're holding to the time when you walk off stage, you have really grown and developed and really transformed. And so I think if you can do that in any element in your life, that is a win.
Absolutely. And I would love to know as well, as an entrepreneur, as a mother, as a wife, how do you really find time to balance all aspects of your life while still also making time for yourself?
Yes. I struggle a lot with mom guilt because, I definitely want to be with my kids all the time. But I also think being the best version of yourself is pursuing your dreams and your passion. And when you come back to your kids, then you feel the happiest and you're smiling and you just definitely feel energized, right? So for me, it's all about finding the right balance in your day. So, what I typically like to do is break my day out into blocks and say these amount of hours are what I'm dedicating to X, Y, and Z. We are all so busy and we have so much going on. So, one of the things, my little secret is I like to jump online after the kids are asleep because that's when the house is quiet and everyone is, taken care of. And I can just kind of have some critical thinking time. But I also like to bring my kids with me to appearances and be able to allow them to see a different version of their mother.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little envious of your sons right now because I think that would be the coolest thing ever growing up, even though I was a tomboy, to be able to see my mom in action like that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's what's really cute is whenever I get my makeup done, which is not very often, but whenever I am wearing makeup, it's almost like they look at me with like a shine in their eyes and they just kind of stare at me for a second because day in and day out, I'm in my comfy clothes. I am home usually during the day. I work from home, and so usually I've got my hair up, I'm in my comfy clothes, I don't have makeup on for the most part. And so when I come downstairs and they just kind of look at me and it's nice to see them have something, kind of different in our daily routine. And so I think that's really important as well.
I agree. And I would love to know, I've seen you've written articles in live interviews on TV, if I'm not mistaken, as well. How do you find these opportunities, and how could other people really put themselves out there, in other words?
Sure. Well, when I first started doing beauty and fashion, for my business, I was really big on relationships. So I think that when you are meeting people, the best thing to do is lead with a genuine approach. And that's really been successful for me, because what that allows people to do is want to team up with you and collaborate and have partnerships. And that's really been the key to my success, in finding different opportunities, is networking and really just kind of building a friendship without wanting anything in return. And naturally seeing how beautiful partnerships and collaborations can come together. I also think that these last couple of years, with what's been going on in social media, there's so many opportunities out there that you can find yourself, like podcasts or reaching out to TV stations. And with internet, the world is at our fingertips. And I feel that a lot of people are finding opportunities just by communicating, and getting out there and putting themselves out there.
Absolutely. I feel like that's a piece of advice I definitely need to start taking myself. I feel like a few years ago when I first started in pageants, I was just in my later end of the teen years and everything. It was a lot more or a lot less daunting to reach out and say, hey, I would love to talk to you. But now it's almost like, where do I go to help have an even bigger impact and also show that, at any stage of life, pageantry can have a great impact.
That's so true. I think people are kind of breaking out of their shells a little bit more and feeling more confident, right? So that's the world of like what we're seeing with influencers putting their hearts out there. And then they're seeing these large audiences really adapting and relating to them, which is giving them more motivation to keep going. And people have built some really successful businesses as a result of putting themselves out into the world. And so I definitely think people should do that as they're trying to figure out their paths and journeys and finding opportunities that work for their current goals in life.
I agree. And I'd love to know, with everything that you've accomplished up to this point in your life and everything you will, of course, accomplish in the future, what do you want to be remembered for?
Yes. Well, I want to be remembered as the one that was smiling and having fun. I am doing this for the true, genuine aspect of bringing awareness to my country and giving people opportunities. So, in 10 years, I just want to be known as the one that came through with a smile, had fun, and really brought maybe a unique spin, and really made sure that Serbia was able to be at the forefront of awareness, engagement, and really a lot of the causes that need attention for our country. And I think that if I could be known for that, that is what would be enough for me to kind of walk away and say, I've done my job, I have served. And, I really think that that would be a beautiful legacy. But smiling, having fun, enjoying, I think is the way to go, because it's not about the crown. It's really just about you as a person.
And what a beautiful thing to be remembered for as well, more of your person rather than your title, quote unquote, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think, you learn that about yourself, right? So as you go through this, someone gave me an interesting piece of advice recently where she said, it's not about what you're wearing or the hat that you put on your head. It's really just about who you truly are in your heart. And once you know that, that will shine through any outfit, and the way you look, the way you dress. It really will be at the forefront of how people view you. And I think that that's resonated with me and helped keep me grounded in a industry and in markets that really can be a little bit intimidating.
Absolutely. Do you believe that Mrs. Pageants get the recognition that they deserve?
Well, that's that's a really good question. I think that maybe we have a little way to go there, right? Because as a missus, we are juggling a lot. And, we don't have as much time to fully dedicate, if you think about earlier years or different things in our life. So I definitely think that in the future, I believe that because of what the Mrs. Systems stand for, I think we're going to continue to get traction. And I think we're going to see this like upward trajectory of more people joining, learning, and becoming aware of our system. I do get asked a lot by people where they say, like, oh, I didn't know that there was a Mrs. system out there. I thought there was a Miss. And a lot of times they'll say, what's the difference between the two? And so I think that as we continue down this journey, there'll be more to come and we'll get more exposure. And I think that that'll be really beautiful to see.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see really the Mrs. category start getting more recognition that it deserves, because it is just as, if not even more, empowering of a group that has, of course, so much to share alongside the Miss and the teen and the younger categories, of course. I just feel like you mentioned before, as the time goes by, that recognition is going to grow, which I'm very excited to see.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think if you look at the caliber as well, because you have misses who have had more time to develop themselves as well, and who have a support system. So when you have a good support system, whether it be your husband, your family, your friends, whoever it may be, it really allows you to be able to be your best. And I think that that's a really big, important part of the Mrs. system being successful, and that the caliber of these women is very strong. They're very educated, they're very smart, they know who they are, and they feel secure in their skin. And I think that's what makes for a beautiful crowning when we get to that final moment.
Absolutely. Is there something that you know now that you wish you knew when you first started in pageantry?
I wish I knew how much it would change my life. To be honest, I probably would have jumped in earlier. When I watched pageants, I always thought it was about that night, the night when they were on stage. I thought whoever was really walking the best and doing everything the right way on stage, I always thought that was going to be the person who won. And I think I wish I would have known how much of a full-time job this is, that you are fully dedicated. You're serving your community for about a year. For me, it'll be about a year once I compete. And I think that if we could get that word out there, I think we would get more people to join, because a lot of times women are looking for the next big opportunity for themselves. And if you think about it as a job, you're signing up, you're committed, you're fully devoting yourself and giving it as much as you personally can. It's a different perspective than just being stage presence. And I think that's the big message that people need to take away from this journey.
Absolutely. Like you said, it's a journey at the end of the day. It's more often than not a year-long commitment. And with it, there are so many opportunities that do open up. And really, if you just treat it as, oh, I only have responsibilities the week of competition, you're not really getting anything out of the experience.
Correct. Absolutely. And that is exactly what people have told me too. They've said, listen, the journey is going to be more fun than the actual competition, because it's exciting to know that you're working towards a large goal. Of course, that night of the pageant will be super exciting, and we're going to have adrenaline rushes. Absolutely, you get glammed up, and everyone looks like a doll on stage. But at the end of the day, it's really just taking away from your journey, taking away the aspects from the journey that really will change you as an individual. And I think that that's the real big piece. We're all watching each other and each other's successes, and everyone's doing so much in the world. And so that's the key win here is, that everyone's coming together, building a sisterhood and making changes, really for their heart and their missions and a good cause.
Absolutely. And before we start wrapping up for today, of course, I still have a few more questions, but the one would be, as a pageant resource such as ourselves and you as a title holder, what is something you would like to see more from us or the pageant community as a whole?
Yeah. Well, I love the interviews that you guys are doing. I think that allows us to really get to know each other and share information. Do you know how much I've learned from all of your lives? I mean, I try to join all of them. it's almost like you guys are coaching us. And I think that's what we need, right? As contestants and as title holders, I think the more information we can put out there through like radio shows and podcasts and doing lives like this, and even bringing title holders together, I think it'd be cool for the resources to like have their own events where, maybe you're not affiliated with a system, but maybe you bring, we all come together and do fun events, with your resource that is kind of taped and shown to your audiences so that people know like who we are and what we stand for outside of just the photos and the stage. But at the end of the day, you guys giving us the ability to have this resource so that we can practice, learn, exchange information, and get to know each other is very invaluable because we don't have anywhere else to go, and you're kind of like coaching us in a way, which I think is really beneficial.
Absolutely. And I know I wish I was a mastermind behind the entire Galore project, but really that's all thanks to Kennedy. And I just love that when we had our first call together that she said that, we're really promoting transparent pageantry at the end, well, inclusivity, of course, which is really great. And like you said, it felt like even before I got to join the team that I was receiving some coaching to a degree. We bring on some amazing, amazing, amazing women such as yourself that always really teach me something new. And I think it just has been preparing me and rounding me out as an individual. And knowing that it also helps impact you positively is just amazing. And I absolutely love hearing that.
Yeah, well, I love what you said about the transparency piece. I've noticed that as our world is evolving and becoming more outspoken, we are seeing more hot topics relative to pageantry, but I think that's okay because we all are trying to be better. And I think that when we bring hot topics to the forefront, what that allows us to do is to realize where we can better ourselves, our systems, our platforms, the way we approach pageantry, and it really just betters the experience overall. So I'm loving the transparent part of it. We're all bringing different experiences and we have different opinions, and I think that's okay to bring it forward in a respectful manner, where we are just exchanging our opinions and thoughts and trying to build something better that we all enjoy. No one wants pageantry to go away, right? Like we want it to stay because we all love it so much.
Absolutely. So, kind of going off to our next segment for today. Before we round off our live interviews, we love doing a little game of this or that. And get those little like niche details that the world know. And I always love hearing about everybody else's kind of what they choose. Anyways, enough rambling. We're gonna get started with a little game of this or that. In other words, are we ready?
Let's go.
Alrighty. This or that. Sleeves or no sleeves?
Sleeves, because I'm always cold.
You know what? I agree with you on that one.
Yes.
Even on the stage with the heavy lights, I'm still chilly.
Yes, I like sleeves, and even in warm weather, for me, I'm just always cold. My hands and feet are always cold, so I'm a sleeves girl.
So, kind of related. One piece or two piece swimsuit?
Ooh, I'm one piece now. I was two piece before. I'll tell you, I think one piece looks really beautiful. And at World, we wear a one piece. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's really beautiful and elegant. And these days, I want to be respectful and, be able to show my body off, but in a manner that is appropriate for the fact that I have two children.
I agree. And I also really love how one piece, like you said, they are just more elegant at the end of the day.
Yeah, but I mean, I will say the women who can rock a two piece, more power to you, because there are some bodies out there that maybe I would change my mind if I had one of their bodies. So no shade to anyone who wears a two piece. I think it's all dependent on the person.
Are we this or that on time or fashionably late?
I'm always on time. I'm one of those where I have to be on time. It gives me anxiety if I'm late. And so for me, on time, but we can't control all the things in life. So fashionably late is kind of cute too. When the room has settled and you kind of have your moment to walk in, I think that's really cool too.
Like I said, it's kind of cute. And it's Friday the 13th right now. I'm superstitious. Things go weird so sometimes, Fashion Week late has its time.
Yeah.
Hair down.
I like hair down. Personally, it kind of is like my security blanket and makes me feel a little bit more comfortable. I think hair up is super chic. But for me, like I don't know, I like kind of covering my ears. I know it sounds weird, but so for me, usually it's hair down. And I used to have really long hair, and now that I've cut it short, it's easier for me. So I try to keep it down when I can.
Absolutely. Are we this or that, ball gown or mermaid?
Ball gown for me always. My wedding dress was a ball gown, and I think for me, I just have always resonated more with that look. And I'm the only girl in my female in my family, and so for me, I've always been able to like do the princess look, and kind of do the Cinderella thing. So ball, and I think too, it's beautiful the way that the dress falls and being able to have like tight on top and then going into a ball gown. So I think that's really stunning.
I need to try on a ball gown at least once in my life. I haven't had the opportunity yet. Definitely talked me into it. And
Okay.
circling back to one of our earlier questions, since we're both kind of chilly girlies, are we team or team jacket?
What's the first option?
Team hoodie or team jacket?
Oh, hoodie. I definitely am into the hoodies. That is for sure. I think it's super comfy to have a hoodie on, and just, a lot of times I cut it and make it more of like an off the shoulders and actually take the hood off sometimes. So I'm more into hoodies and just being comfy with joggers or leggings.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that one. Team early bird or night owl?
Early bird for me. I don't know. For me, I've always been the type that goes to bed early and then wakes up early. And especially now with the kids, I mean, they wake up, it's like clockwork. They're up in the morning, they're ready for the day. So usually we get our day started pretty early, which is nice because then the day feels a bit longer. And in my early years, I was more of a night owl, but not too late. I would go out a little bit, but it was more just, you know, now we've transformed more into different hours and different lifestyles.
Are we team nude lipstick or red lipstick?
I like red. I'm wearing like a darker shade today. And lately I've been playing with nude colors on my lips too. I know that's really trendy right now. It looks really beautiful when people wear nude and kind of go into that like bronzed goddess look.
Mhm.
So I've been playing with that as well. But for me, I typically go with more red and darker shades like berries and fuchsias um, for my skin tone. But I think it depends on your skin tone, and what looks best on you.
Absolutely. And the last this or that question for the day. Are we team interview or on-stage question?
I like on stage question because you've got that one shot. And I think, when a woman gets up there and nails her onstage question, which they all do, I think every single one does such a good job under the pressure that they're under. There's no loser in terms of like who did the best or worst or whatever, in my opinion. But I think being up there and having a microphone and being in front of the judges and having your moment, I think that that's really a great opportunity to show how you can shine under pressure. And that's how you are as a title holder. And when you take the crown, it's really about how you can speak under pressure and be able to really bring and articulate your thoughts.
I think that's a really great way to put it. Before we truly wrap up for today, how can we stay connected to you? What platform can we find you on so we can follow you throughout your journey?
Yes. Well, of course, these days, Instagram for me. So Nev, _ Tomic, Tomic is my Instagram. And I'm posting all things fashion, beauty, runway shows, photo shoots, and just so many cool things. But I also am on Facebook. So those are the best ways. But following Mrs. World, you'll be able to see a lot too, because typically they repost everything that we're doing. So I really recommend you follow the Mrs. World system and see how much fun we are all having.
That's really great, and I love whenever a system really shows off the work that their title holders are doing. So I cannot wait to connect with you. I would like to thank everybody else for joining us for today. Of course, we're going to have this available on YouTube, Facebook, and soon enough on Instagram, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you so much for your time. It was an absolute blast learning from you and hearing your side of the story. Thank you, everybody else, for joining us again today. My name is Elizabeth Frisk with the Beauty Queen Galore, the pageant resource. Until next time.